All right, we are back. So we have just left our last session with a bit of a doozy, as we stopped the end of the world. I mean, no small feat. We barreled our way through a wall of undead with the help of our wizard friend, who is a little off his rocker. Managed to wish the undead necromancer in dragon form back away, said back to his home, back to his box, back to his cage. Some kind of inclination. Someone had already guessed phylactery. Probably not far off the mark. We made it through the wall undead without his power there to control. Many started to just fall lifeless. Made our way through, only with a few losses, to come upon the big undead, or not the undead, the big demon versus devil battle that was taking place on the open plateau. We gathered our troops. We had some help from those of Taft, some of the Badlands people, some Mayoran mercenaries. We had a handful of Phalanx Expeditionary Force units that were left after nearly their entire number was wiped out in some kind of magical mishap. Something that we still not exactly sure where it came from. And we took our ragtag group and charged a devil prince and a demon lord. We had to fight a pretty nasty battle in which many of our allies suffered greatly for. Particularly the actual archdevil teleported in the midst of a lot of the Taft units, many of which died in an instant. Amongst them was the general of that army, Nibs, who we've already kind of written off as being too nonchalant, not being prepared for the realities of the world, and not taking it seriously. We did lose a handful of the Badlands units, but the leader survived, as well as we had the archer units survived, but most of the shaman and the regular warriors all perished. Throughout, we had the Phalanx Knights died to a man. The Illusionists, that was Taft group. They also perished. Nearly all of the clerics and paladins survived. They did take a little bit of a beating, but they seem to be much more battle-hardened. Those troops meant business. Looks like we lost one of the scout units for the Phalanx as well. So we had one Phalanx scout unit left, which just happened to have our only two named Phalanx members in it. We've also had both Archwizard Braden bring some of the Wizard Corps after dropping off the Magister in the tower. Nelar showed up just before he did and engaged, took care of a bunch of the actual devils and demons that were still left as the demon lord and the archdevil were in amongst everybody trying to kill everyone. The archwizard and his troops didn't seem to take much of any kind of casualty. They weren't really a focus, but Nelar and his group angered not just the masses that took some casualties from the actual just regular demon and devil units, but when we were going along, we killed the demon lord and the archdevil either didn't just kill him fast enough, or as some kind of last resort, before he died, channeled all of his stored energy into the portals that were summoning in devils, caused the portals to come together and bring forth the Prince of Swarm. His, not his father, but his overlord, so to speak. The big archdevil prince above him made his way through, and it really didn't look all that impressive. The underling had gained quite a bit of power in this world and manifested a great deal of that power very wickedly, whereas the main archdevil coming through was extremely powerful, and he annihilated several troops with some kind of corrosive cloud that just ate away people with acid and just various maledictions. He turned that focus on Nelar and his wizard circle group, nearly killing all of them. Nelar himself fell, and here we are, kind of at the end of the battle after a very concerted effort took the prince down before he could manifest any more of the power from the other side to either summon allies or even manifest his full potential. He hadn't even gained all of his resistances and things as of yet, and since he hadn't, we were able to take him down surprisingly quickly. And now here we are, survived the end of the world. We kept the balance in true by killing both sides. And with the few of us that are left remaining, we try to help those that are wounded or near death to prevent any more loss of life that we can. And all the while, we've rushed over Illiana again. When she saw Nelar fall, she started rushing in his direction, and everyone else is kind of following to see if we could save him. We made it just to the kind of nearly melted pile of corpses, pulling people off. We found a few that were alive. We were able to stabilize some, and it took a bit till we got to actually Nelar himself, and by the time we got to him, he had already passed on. And that's where we pick up, with Illiana extremely distraught and frantic as Carr rushes over to see what he can do. And that's where we are.
Easy, help me with the body. I want to just kind of separate it from whatever pile of anything else that may be on top or around it.
I do, just kind of wordlessly. I'll help move whatever you need.
And I just kind of lay him out separately. Put his arms on his chest, and I guess either I try or I can tell a healing spell won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
What's Illiana doing right at this very second?
She's gone pretty frantic. Once we found, the actual corpse of Nelar himself, she held on. You could tell that she was very rushed and frantic getting over there, but she's very good at keeping her composure, even in high stress and the like. But once we pull him over, you do your initial check and see that he's gone, and you start pulling it as an actual corpse over. She just loses her shit, and she starts screaming and like kicking at the ground and nearly buckling over in very intense and obvious pain.
I try to break through some of that. Illiana!
Just a deep inhale. And she gives you a cold stare.
I can try to help. I'm kneeling down on one side of Nelar, and I kind of gesture her to come to the other side.
She quickly kind of spins over to the other side, like tears welled in her eyes as she's giving you, this kind of hopeful look. And through gritted teeth, You better not get my hopes up. If you can do something, do it.
When was the last time you spoke? Tell me of that. And just before you do that, I'm getting some it's not necessarily incense, but burning some herbs and things I have in my little pouch, my little religious ceremony kind of pouch.
He and I?
Yes. What's the last real conversation you had? What was it about?
The ever-impending doom.
Best pillow talk. I take her hands and put it on his. So under my breath, I'm just doing some little Kragan chants and whatnot. I take one of my diamonds and I put it in his hand with her hand over his. What's the last time you all talked about something that wasn't business?
Just before dropping off my daughter, we mused of things that could be better. A world where she could grow up and not have to have this strength just to survive. And what a marvelous thing that would be, and how we would make it so.
I tell her to hold on to that. Keep that in your head. Start to think about. I haven't ran into Nelar as much, but before the Wizard Tower and him leading us to that. And touching on chat. Right before I cast Revivify, I scream into the air. And I cast Revivify.
You draw the energy from your gods as light begins to emit from the ground and the sky, a brightness almost overwhelming, and then it dulls to a warm glow like that of a campfire. The rest of the area comes out of focus, and everything becomes all hyper focused into this area right around Nelar's corpse. Illiana, in frustration as all this is going on, she kind of yells into the air, "Nelar, you better come back for me, or I'm gonna come after you and kill you wherever you are." This warm glow turns to midnight black as the very bright Badlands sun dims, darkens, and becomes midnight pitch black. Magical, almost stars start to appear close, like being out in the middle of Montana or Alaska in an open field, being able to see no moonlight, no light pollution, just bright stars in a ever-encompassing landscape. These stars, They feel like they're getting closer. They wrap around you. And although it's pitch black, there's some comfort to the blackness. The light emitting from these stars itself provides some kind of effervescent atmosphere of light and energy that uplifts your spirit. It's been a long time since you felt good about many things as the world has been coming to an end. Particularly in this moment of darkness that we've overcome, this midnight feeling actually emits warmth as opposed to the cold darkness that we've been feeling inside just because of circumstances. A voice permeates through of arcane nature. As you have trouble seeing anything, with the pitch black around you, you can't actually see any of the details. Like, you're kind of absorbed into the moment in a way where you're looking at the corpse, and then your eyes kind of dart around as you try to take in this surrounding. You don't see anything, any other person. There's the corpse, each of you, as you're all kind of gathered around. You see the corpse. You can't even see each other for this brief moment. And then, just out of nowhere, you see an image. Faint, very see-through, that just coalesces. From it, picture that I just shared with everyone, stands a lady, dark colored dress with dark long hair, standing in what looks to be now as the actual surroundings, kind of come into play with her. It looks like a lady standing in the middle of the cosmos. She walks forward, kneels down beside Nelar, kind of cups the back of his head, starting to lift him up. The mortal world calls you back to life. My chosen has lost his influence in this plane, and there must always be a chosen. And I choose you. I choose you to hold my power in this plane. To do so, you must be a part of it. Come, answer the call. Answer the call to the material plane and the mortal world. Bring back life, so that you can love, so that you can heal. Not just yourself, but all. The darkness lifts as the bright, intense sun of the Badlands sky pierces through that black, starry night effect, fades, and everyone's standing. As you kind of stare at this lady as she stands up, you notice, you take a moment to look down, and you see Nelar. Parts of his flesh had melted from that acid and corrosion and poison that it all had been clouded over the group of them all. Those burns, that melted pieces of flesh, are whole. And Nelar stands up, shaking his head. My lady, I answer your call, and I have returned. But how can I be the chosen? All will be revealed in short time. Worry not of that. Embrace those that give you that call. And you see he turns, tears in his eyes, and he rushes over and just grabs Illiana up in this big hug. And they have a silent moment as the lady stands there, just looking on everyone.
Does Car know who she is?
Hit me with a religion check.
Uh,
The Midnight. The Chosen. Immortal Chosen. This seems like both the imagery and the things that have been said, the way that she appeared. This is very relevant to Mistra, the goddess of magic, one of the greater deities.
Probably would have heard Anya mention the name.
I'm not real sure what to do, so I just kind of reach out for Car. She's still standing there?
Quiet, contemplative, hasn't made any other moves while she waits for this very long embrace. She just sits there.
I just reach out for Car and like touch his back or his arm or something. And I'm like, is this? Someone...
This is Mistra, I think.
As a greater deity, is she fairly well known?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I just, my eyes just go wide and I just kneel.
Yeah, she's basically the same as Palor was, as far as level. Not supreme deity level now, but the greater deities are the most worshipped, the most known of all of them.
I don't say this, but I did have this thought. Lumo, don't punch her. This is me having that thought, not Car.
I was eating a pickle, I just choked.
It's like, well, you'll do, smack.
You may have many questions. I'm not much in the giving of answers, business, but maybe I can help in some ways. But first, let me explain. You may wonder a few things. I wield such power as I can perform this miracle. Why can I not do so for all? Why could I not do so sooner? These are questions I struggle yet, even myself. So I understand if you have them. But let me explain at least some. very fiber of being, particularly now in this tumultuous time, prevents many uses of our power. I knew that if I came even a moment sooner to assist you in what, by the way, is a remarkable feat. If I had come any sooner, yes, I could have prevented some of the loss that you all share. But it would have been for naught. Had I done so, it would have only been undone, and much worse. You know the history of this land, and you know the kind of anger we would face. At least, the anger as it is presented. But let me tell you, the hate that flows so far deep within not only this land, but the one that created it. Assisting beyond my means would have unleashed that fire in a way I could not stop. And so, I only tempt the threads of fate in a little way I can, in a way that I have unequivocal rights to do so, in choosing a new chosen. They can't deny me this right, so I can bring this one back. But that's all I can do.
Your aid is appreciated. We will continue to maintain the balance that is so far out of control. You should continue to aid us in every single way you can. It is people, and Logan's gonna look over at Lumo, wizards, sorcerers, finger wigglers, people who abuse the power that you personify have caused all of this.
Your judgment, although not knowing the full picture, is unfortunately true. There are certain balances, while I do command the fabrics that are the composition of magic, and those that would abuse and overtake the power. Without it, the world would not exist. Not for the better, not for the worst, just not at all. It is the very fabric and essence of magic that is woven all of reality. And without it, reality would not exist. I too am disheartened by its misuse. And I work in whatever ways I can to bring the balance back. I do expect a wanton wish for power and extravagance. I don't mind that. But when it's abused and stolen, that's when things must be undone.
Izzy doesn't look up at all. Like she's almost afraid to meet the gaze. But she just says, "Has the balance been maintained, my lady? Do the scales tip?"
As of now, we are safe. The balance of power shifts back towards equilibrium. But this is not the only danger. There are many elements left that could destabilize further, but for now, we at least have a moment's respite. While you are not my chosen, not in the true sense, I did choose you. Each and every one of you. To be woven into a future. A future for us all. It was no mere coincidence or circumstance that led you to this day. And for that I am sorry. I am sorry to have brought this upon you. To shoulder so much dread and responsibility should be asked of no mortal. But it is only mortals that could actually carry it out. And in so doing, your set of circumstances have been overcome, and you have been most wonderful guests on the path that we have before us.
I'm just gonna steal a glance over towards Illiana and Nelar.
They have not left the embrace.
So I may have to turn the decanter on them.
Mm-hmm.
Say bits of armor and clothes have been thrown everywhere.
She might already be a little bit wet.
And he went there.
So what now?
Your bonds to the threads of fate are cut. I no longer weave them for you.
Was yours the hand that brought me back as I am now?
Just a small smile. Your energy tried to join that of the Gaia, of the life, of the force of the cosmos. But when it tried to mix, the cosmos would not accept it. Your threads of fate still needed to be woven beyond even this story. I may have aided in guiding the path back But it used your force, your energy, that brought you here. It wasn't just me, of course. On my own, it would be frowned upon to change the threads of fate in such a way. But each of you had advocates. Advocates formerly of the mortal world.
At that, Izzy will look up just with a confused look on her face.
You have questions, my child.
No one has ever advocated for me.
Oh, how easy it is to think that. And I understand why you do. But that's not true. Even present company aside, there have been those in your life that gave you a chance, taught you, may even have loved you.
She still looks kind of confused. It just looks over at Carr, just like not sure what to say. And kind of looking over in Carr's direction and then past him, she can see the rest of the battlefield and just kind of asks, what about the halflings? Does anybody advocate for them? They fought so hard and lost so much.
They have a honored position amongst us all. They have a new person that has been looking after them, one garnering power. I guess you might say they have two new people garnering power who looks after them. We all know of the burning hate. We know what trials he's put against them all. We also know that the burning hate is no longer the god of the light and the sun. Someone new has taken that position. And that person, well, they're quite lovely.
Was did that seem like sarcasm or
No, it did not.
okay? Does the new? Yeah, I won't do that.
Well, you see, there's a bit of a ambiguity. Sometimes prefer to be a he, sometimes prefer to be a she. So we say they.
Lumo.
Who are they?
You've actually already met them.
Now she looks super confused.
She just kind of gets a coy smile as, I do enjoy a good mystery, but who do you think? Lumo? You've garnered great power in fights. I've witnessed it. You've harnessed that energy. You were the light that took out the dark when it came to the vampire. Did you think the power came from Palor? Did that conflict you? I can see in your heart. Do you think he would actually grant such a power? No, no, no. He does not answer the prayers of mortals. Not even prominent ones. Especially not now. I find your judgment to be awfully true. She just smiles. Your heart is in the right place, even if your fists cannot be.
I add yet to that and I glance over at Lumo.
Ah, yes, Elvira. As it turns out, Elvira is long dead. She was the weakest of the council, and did not survive her incarceration to the Badlands. Not even a few weeks in. Of course, they didn't know that. Elvira isn't Elvira at all. But Alana.
Does Car know who that is?
This is going to be a tough one. But hit me with a religion check.
Studied.
You did study. Alauna, or Alaunus, whether it's the male or the female form, is not a god of this realm. As actually, a god of a different realm. But all Ralidar happens to be a world where at least the god planes all kind of overlap somewhat on Ralidar. This is why it's nearly every deity throughout our, from any setting or even our own histories, all kind of here appear somewhere throughout history here. Illiana is a solar deity of healing and prophecy. But that's probably the extent of anything that would be written or known in this room. It's actually a Celtic god. From our world.
So my first Google thing came up, and I was like, "Well, I gotta go deeper." I was thinking of like a different D&D realm.
Nope, it's one of ours. They have not garnered much power in this realm, not as of yet. But their manifestation grows. She's cultivated quite a bit of following here in the Badlands amongst Lumos people as of late. She's tried to lead them to the right path. And as her power gathers, intends to continue that trend. So yes, there is some that will look after them. These few that made it here this day, and those that had perished, there are others scattered, but out there. But as a whole they live, they survived, which they would not have. Not without you. Not without you all.
If I look across the battlefield, can I see the clerics had been kind of directed to try and help anybody who could still be helped. Had they kind of finished with that as well?
This is a pretty heavy triage, and they're pretty directed as far as at task. So they're still pretty heavy at task. A lot of them have garnered all the help that they could to separate those that can be saved versus not. I mean, this looks like a true on-site triage center they're kind of setting up, and they'll be at it for a while.
Okay, so they're still working.
By both magical, and when the magical runs out, they'll have to care through mundane means. They're setting it all up. She's going to smile at Lumo. That is quite commendable. And your threads unravel and traverse many paths. And several of those paths lead on to just that. Through your efforts, change can be had.
Izzy just kind of winces when she hears Lumo say that.
You need not explain. I see the truth in your heart. Of course, it was no chance meeting for all of you to gather together, for you to be chosen for this task. There are many great deeds that you still have left to do to aid not only each other, but the world. I will try to lend aid, but I will no longer direct. Along your travels, each of you have received a gift in one fashion or another. Those gifts are more powerful than you know. Each of you had a mortal advocate. With one exception. Luma, your advocate was divine. She has helped you. And she will continue to help you. Temporarily, she has unleashed a power in you through my guidance. I think we can add some permanence to that. You can kind of, Lumo, you feel that surge of energy that you get when you do your key blasts. That does the radiant damage, just like you had when you were fighting the vampire.
Okay.
And so they were emboldened. That is now a permanent effect. She kind of smiles at Lumo. So, to enlighten in that degree, you are not wrong. Those wizards meant for something else entirely. But it is my magic they use. So I pulled a string here or there that led down a different path. The path had to be true, but maybe not so much what they intended. And I am pleased with the results. That is your right. Channel that energy and teach others to do the same so that you may accomplish your end goal. Izzy, you worry that no one ever cared for you, looked out for you, at least before meeting those around you. There was another. That other has advocated on your behalf.
Izzy braves looking up.
That weapon you wield. There's no chance encounter you find that. That weapon is an artifact. As your inside power grows, so will its, your connection to the beyond. Now you have two that advocate for you. It was the wish of your former captain that you be entrusted to follow this path. It is now the wish of your ally, your friend, my former chosen. That you continue on as your own, in a way that they can guide you, in a way that you can guide yourself.
She's just gripping like the hilt of the shadow blade. And kind of closes her mouth and just says, "Is he? You say former chosen. Is he okay?"
He is still divine, even somewhat so. But whatever they did to that crystal, to that lodestone, it has severed his connection to this world. He still lives. He still holds influence in my realm. And he can still trickle energy. But he can no longer manifest here. Maybe he
Gone?
can rebuild over time. But for now, I must choose another chosen.
She presses her lips together and nods and then just bows her head again.
She kind of takes a couple of quick steps forward and lays her hand on top of yours on the hilt of the sword. Through this, he will still be there. What power he has left to wield in this world, he will manifest here for you.
Thank you.
Kind of walks over, kind of just takes one step to the side, puts her hand on Car's shoulder. You know all too well who advocates for you.
I do.
Not a minute, not a single one, has her voice, her power, her being not been strong-willed. Strong-willed that the gods heed. She channels it to you. She reaches down and touches the hilt of your lightning sword. Some is here, and then she puts her other hand, puts it across on your right on your chest, right underneath where your amulet is, under your clothes, and here. That warmth, that strength is freely given. She kind of steps over to Lodrin, and you couldn't see anything change, but when she's standing next to Lodrin, she's the same height as he is, where she was the same height as everybody else. As she kind of went from person to person, she was this normal human lady's height. But standing in front of Lodrin, you can see that she has, gotten much larger. It's hard to even call it a weapon that you wield. You have done more to nourish, to develop, to embrace your ways, bringing the energy back to this world. But it manifests here. In the staff of plant growth. You too have an advocate, a protector. There was a lady of nature amongst a grove. She willed for your safety. And she still screams for vengeance. but her power manifests. And she is the reason you were chosen.
There are other ways besides belligerence and anger. I will continue to do what I can to aid these lands.
You bring balance, only to yourself, but to the others. It is important. I bear one other gift. There's one you seek. Another that would do bad, would do evil, would tip the scales of balance. One responsible for your sorrow. I offer his name, the one with the scarred face.
He still lives?
She lives a bit of a sigh. Unfortunately so. Through aid of those yet who would wish more evil wrought upon this world. His name is Halifan. Halifan Aldon. May that information lead you to whatever end you choose.
You may say it was Solani's wishes and her hopes, my protection that started me on this path, but that man, those who were with him, those perverters of truth and abusers of power, those are the ones who put me on this path.
She solemnly nods in response. She steps over to Steen. The shield, the protector. You have one from your past. While your father looks after you, he is not the one who was your advocate. Long ago, after the burning hate desecrated these lands, there was one. And through his efforts, the phalanx, the defense of this realm, the shield came to be. Xeron, founder of the Phalanx. His power manifests in the shield, as the shield, and through you. And she walks over to Bijou. Last, smallest, but by far not the least. As she walks over to Bijou, you can see that she is just, she shrank down to the size of the gnome. Free, an adventurous spirit. It goes great against your nature to be here in this way. See a small tear well up on her eye.
Bijou is smiling and nodding at the same time.
This pain was never meant for you, but it could not be undone. Without you, a guide, a compass, they would not be here either. I know you have great concerns for both those that wish to be aided, for your people, their naivety, and their complacency, and for your father, off on another grand adventure. I know the imagery that we showed you long ago depicted danger and a path, a very likely path, that would come to be. Certain things we have done along the way have changed all the weaving of the threads of the future. He still went into the unexplored, the savage. They did not make their way very far. And there's reason for that. And so they've turned around and returned. By this time tomorrow, he should have crossed the Great Wall of Camden, back into safety. But, you know his heart. He will not be deterred. He will try again. The dangers in the place he seeks, well, they're more than he can handle. Your father is a great leader. He's a great commander. Your people do not appreciate that, or at least they did not. But after today's events, perhaps they will reconsider. Your armies need a new general, one with both experience and passion. If you find him, maybe you should relay that.
I will.
Your unbridled passion, your feelings, and your power to manifest them and influence those around you. You have a bit of an adventurous streak And it gives you great power. That comes from your father's side. Your music, your voice, your inspiration. That is where your advocate manifests. She kind of stands more upright, and as she does, she returns back to the same height of regular person. Turns to stride, walking away. She kind of looks back over her shoulder. Turns. I must return. Do you have anything at all before I go?
All of us tonight, like as we lay down to go to bed, will think of the thing we wish we would have asked.
I know.
Right now, I don't know. Who had the power to summon everything here? Who wiped out the phalanx with their portals from hell? Who?
Like you, there are advocates on the other side, vying for a certain end. We know of a couple of those that have been dealt with along our way. We know of still a couple of council members that still live. We know of those, such as Halifan, that are also working with advocates from the other side. There's some great darkness in the Savage Lands, and the Witchwood, and the wild, untamed places of the West. There are even those working within your homeland. Some, they fight for the true ways of the old gods, but there are those that have lost that faith, having felt abandoned. And who they turn to is not who they expected. She turns to Luma.
Can he do the? I feel like the answer is going to be yes, but can he do his whisper in her head type of thing to a god?
Yes. They could refuse to hear it if they wished, but you can certainly try. She smiles, walks over to you. Of all the things you could ask, of the endless possibilities. This is all you request? She gently lays her hand on your forehead. Done. Then she smiles again, kind of looks down at you. And as for your other question, just like everyone before you, I did not start this way. You are truly on the right path.
I have one more question, if I might.
By all means.
How does one find and destroy something that exists in a phylactery?
Find can be the hard part. Merely destroy the phylactery, and any current form outside of the phylactery, and they can no longer exist. Their connection to this world severed.
We met a wizard that seemed to know where and what this particular one was, but then she spreads her hands. He became dust.
She kind of briefly chuckles. Ah. Yes. A promise he made long ago. It took him long enough, but he finally fulfilled it. Worry not for him. He enjoys both his sanity and his youth yet again. Just like well, he's not the Magister anymore. Just like Arden does now. And someday, they will again build a tether to this world. And they may rejoin it.
Is there any way I can help him rebuild a tether?
The way of the gods is not only personal strength, but the strength of others lent in favor and in worship. If the need is great, and the faith that is given sufficient, the tether will regrow. Otherwise, They must garner that power for themselves, which takes time.
Izzy gives just a small smile and nods, looking a little bit more hopeful than she did.
She kind of looks over, glancing back and forth between Lumo and Izzy. Again, it's okay. That also was not Palor. That, this you can see. She already doesn't. You can tell that she's not a big fan of Palor's. She's already kind of been snarky a little bit when she says it, but now it's very clear. I mean, it's palpable. That would be Lord Cyric.
Oh shit. Oh, that is like the most punchable guy.
That is definitely the most punchable.
Wait, which one was Lord Syric? Or was there a question asked that I missed?
Yeah. So I'll explain to you, but I asked who the god was yelling at us when we were on our way to Teneria and some of the Kraken and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, he did it in a way that you couldn't see, but
Mistress kind of all seeing and stuff, so she can definitely hear me.
yes, but Lord Cyric. Chaos incarnate. The only true anarchist amongst the gods.
Well, I don't know, I gotta think of the phrasing. Sorry, someone else can chime in. I'm having a hard time putting something together in my mind. How far up do the imbalances go?
On the mortal world or the divine?
Yeah, after he says in the mortal world, I said beyond.
Without saying too much, I think it's safe to say that there is no limit. All vie. At all levels, they vie to undo the balance that Ao sets before us.
it always like this and we just never see?
On this level, no. There is an ebb and flow, but never a cease. Especially with the likes of Lord Cyric. Sometimes alone, sometimes more united. In the last couple of millennia, there's been more flow than ebb. Last time, Palor stepped in. Enough so that even Ao was impressed, even though many are not impressed with his methods. But balance was restored for a time. But you don't bring balance and restore by setting off a giant shockwave, the effects of which ripple throughout time, and only seem to create more instability.
How do we heal this land? How do we undo that injustice?
As for purely how, I cannot answer. Seek balance. Be true to your heart and yourself. Defend, love, and loved ones. Vie for power and use it responsibly. These tenets they will lead you down your path. This whole time, none of the other people off to the side, all helping and doing things, appear to see any of this going on. I mean, they haven't made any, indication that there's a god amongst you, or anything like that. All just kind of doing their thing post-battle. So it just, up to now, there hasn't been anything.
So is it literally just the party and Illiana and Nelar seeing this? Because there were a couple of wizards that Bijou had been able to help in the same area, right?
Mm-hmm. Looking at, taking another glance over at Nelar and Illiana, they're still locked in their embrace. And at this point, it seems officially as though maybe they're frozen in time.
Oh.
Their embrace really hasn't changed, hasn't moved. You haven't heard anything from them.
Are the other people on the battlefield moving? Or is it too far we can't really tell?
They're pretty far over there. You didn't notice that they weren't moving. Now you go to inspect, and it kind of looks like they're not moving.
Interesting.
And you're kind of looking around, and you see the Archwizard actually moving and walking over in your direction.
Which one was the arch wizard? Because I'm just
Braylon. I'm kind of looking between him and Mistra to see if, like, I'm trying to tell if he can see her or if he's just walking over in our general direction.
It looks like he's doing so with purpose. It doesn't look like
Okay.
it looks like you can see her at least at the least.
Okay.
He kind of gets into what would be like the inner ring of where everybody's standing around. You can see him take a knee. Milady, you called. We had discussed tying the bonds of fate and severing those bonds. I think now would be a time in which we can fulfill the second half.
Is this like a Tuesday for him? He sounded very nonchalant.
It does seem like they have conversed before.
Okay.
Once it has been done, set them up as arranged, and then go and seek him. I see his aid needed. Once all is done, you may resume your duties. And then, everyone kind of turns and looks at Brayden. When they look back, Mr. is gone.
Izzy lets out a long breath and doesn't stand up, but just kind of goes from kneeling position to just sitting right where she is.
Right as you sit down, you hear Illiana say, "Now, don't you ever do that again!" You kind of look at him. Their embrace ends. They kind of look at everybody and blush.
Izzy just grins. Welcome back, Nelar.
The weight of it all. I have returned, and it has its benefits, and my heart warms for it. But there was so much I did not know that now I do. How he was able to keep it together with the calm. A skill perhaps I will learn with time.
Does that mean we call you Magister now?
He kind of looks a moment confused, kind of looks around. I believe, yes. I guess that it is so. You see Brayden kind of get up and walk over to Nelar and kind of claps him on the shoulder. Uh, you are always the better of us. Well deserved. You are the true chosen. She has chosen many of us, but you are the chosen now. Learn from mistakes of the past to make a better future. Nelar just kind of nods.
Do you feel different?
He just kind of looks up a little bit, kind of shakes his head. Other than an overwhelming amount of information, I can feel the power coursing through me. But as to who I am, no.
Good. Izzy looks over to the battlefield. And um, and she just says, I need to talk to somebody, and then I'll join you over there to help Bijou. She stands up and gives Illiana a smile and claps Car on the back, and then she's gonna walk away from the group a little bit.
So, with that, you want to go back and check on everyone, tally everything, take a long rest kind of
Yeah,
deal?
well, yeah, I think Car's going to be using the rest of his magic, trying to help all the healing, and then helping with the bandages and all the triage and everything. It's probably where he'll spend the rest of his whole day.
Bijou would use her knowledge from previously doing that back home to help them set up efficiently and use all of her spell slots and everything she can do to help.
Okay.
I'm gonna find a spot to sit, kind of away from everything, just for a couple minutes, and use. It might be the last charge on my necklace. I can't remember if I had one or two more left.
Okay. Yes.
Just because the last time I talked to him, it was mid battle, and Izzy was just kind of focused on what was in front of her. So she's gonna sit down and just kind of lift the necklace to press it just to her forehead, and she just says, "Are you there?"
For you, I will always be there.
She grins. She can't help it. And she says, "It's done. We lost a lot of people, but it's done."
A lot, some, still better than all. I am so proud of you. You know, you killed a demon lord.
I did. I did. We did. We talked to Mistra. She was here.
Isn't she wonderful?
She was beautiful. She says Nelar's the Magister now.
You kind of hear a little bit of a sigh. I would say for now, but the torch has been passed. Yes. A duty I must relinquish, at least. No. Not by choice.
She said you can't be on this plane anymore.
Well, not anymore, just not right now. I still have a few ways to breach the gap. But manifesting isn't one of them.
I'm sorry we weren't able to help.
Oh, you helped more than you know. In particularly, you've helped me as much as I've helped you. I've learned a lot. About myself, about the world. And I don't think without you, I would actually be able to breach this gap. So thank you.
They said you're at the tower, though. I was confused. You're not there anymore?
Yes, no, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly. There is a gateway door that leads to my lady's realm. And there, truly, is where I rest. Rebuild.
Are you with her?
um... It has been customary for the chosen to fill a certain role, but it was not one offered to me. So no.
Okay. She's by herself on a hill, and she's like just beat red right now.
Many have shared that connection, but it's not one that I wished.
I wanted to see you, but I guess that's not possible now. But if there's anything I can do to help you recover, let me know. And I'll do what I can.
Through the bond, which has lasted far longer than expected. You get a warm feeling. It's like it feels just like the internal feeling you get when you get a long, hard embrace from a loved one. Your faith. Your faith gives me energy. I believe your will come true.
Izzy smiles and she just says, "You'll have it until we can see you again." And she will get up and go help try to tend to the wounded.
Did we learn the magister's name? Because that was my whole name in the notepad. And
Arden.
okay.
I don't think we got a last name, but we got the first name.
It's actually Arden Magister.
Yep.
So we've known his name the whole time.
Middle name is Larry.
All right. So, I think that's a good time for a break.
I want donuts. There needs to be delivery donuts.
I would get so fat if there were delivery donuts.
Okay, so I haven't. Okay, let me see. I got some XP still to give, I think.
Did we double to 10 this last time, or were we supposed to go to 11?
I thought we were going to be at 11 because I was getting all excited about the.
Yes, we will be going to
Miami.
11.
It goes to 11.
Oh, hey, can I get my hit point maximum back too? That'd be cool.
You guys
With
take
your
20.
rest. Yes, you may.
Where the hell did I write this down? Oh, 73. Okay.
We have a lot of 73s.
I think it was 73.
What time do you want us back? Come on, grab a little snack.
Let's make the half hour. On the half hour.
I will say one thing. Like when you cast the Revivify and the sun goes away, it makes you a little nervous.
Yeah. Dude, that was badass though.
Yeah, I'm gonna get several arrows to the chest. That's great. No big deal. I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking for 100k for level 12. Alright. Even enough that Lodrin leveled to 11. Or actually, that was a shit ton of experience. That got us a good chunk of the way towards 12. We're basically halfway through level 11.